Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the Buhari administration's economic recovery and growth plan aims to adjust the gap that exists in the foreign exchange market as much as possible. The Vice President stated this in Davos, Switzerland, where he is attending the ongoing World Economic Forum. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has that report.
The Vice President at a press conference speaks about Nigeria's recovery and growth plan, as well as policy measures the government has put in place towards improving investment climate and driving growth through social inclusiveness.
If you look at our economic recovery and growth plan, it is clearly the expectation that this will be redressed. And this is a conversation that we're having with the central bank itself. And I believe that some adjustments need to be made, that we must advance towards an exchange rate policy that closes that gap as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says government is also committed to ensuring security of lives and investments, explaining how government is addressing the Niger Delta issues.
All of the groups in the Niger Delta, and we've been speaking to them, they presented a 16-point, what they described as dialogue issues, and we think that is a sensible roadmap as to what to do and what steps to take to resolve many of the issues in the Delta. So we're very actively engaged.
Vice President also spoke at a panel discussion on terrorism and the digital era, observing that the global community is in a place it has never been before, and to raise the need for a reconsideration of how to respond to terrorism. More than 400 sessions will be held at the 2017 World Economic Forum to address various economic challenges, and the Vice President is billed to participate in some of the sessions, including that of Rebuilding Africa. In Davos, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And still at the ongoing World Economic Forum in Davos, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo continues to woo private sector, stressing their partnership as important to achieving the diversification plan of the Buhari administration. Speaking at a forum with some businessmen and women on the economic situation of the country, the Vice President says so much has been done and more are ongoing to revamp the economy. Government actions, he explains, have opened doors of opportunity in agriculture, mining, manufacturing, and other sectors, while not relenting in efforts to boost oil production to generate necessary funding in infrastructure. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo also featured in a one-on-one interview session where he further highlighted federal government's action on the economy, security, and diversification. The Vice President also participated in a televised session alongside some African leaders on Rebuilding Africa, where he expressed the effective cooperation of leaders on the continent as demonstrated in the war against Boko Haram. He further highlighted the need to pay more attention in the training of the youth for a greater Africa. And back home, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has described as utterly tragic the accidental bombing of a civilian community in Borno State by the Nigerian Air Force jet, causing deaths and injuries. In a statement, the minister expressed his condolences to the families of those who died in the unfortunate bombing and prayed for quick recovery of the injured. Lai Mohammed, who recently led members of the Bring Back Our Girls and the media to Yola, where the air component of the fight against Boko Haram is based, says he is particularly saddened because the accidental bombing was not a true reflection of the level of professionalism he witnessed during the visit. The minister said some of the things the delegation learned after spending 2 days at the Tactical Air Command in Yola were the strict adherence to operational guidelines and the high level of professionalism of the officers and men, especially the young pilots who took high-risk missions day and night. Alhaji Mohammed said they heard that on several occasions during the sorties, fighter pilots have had to hold their fire while observing the movement of women and children in the Sambisa forest, adding that they also witnessed the same careful disposition when they flew to Sambisa with the pilots. He said the accident therefore came to him as a rude shock to learn a few hours after leaving Yola that one of the fighter jets had accidentally bombed civilians, including aid workers. The minister, however, urged the Nigerian Air Force to continue to take necessary measures to avoid civilian casualties as it carries out its challenging task of keeping Nigeria safe. And normalcy has returned to the University of Maiduguri following last Monday's triple bomb explosions that disrupted academic activities. Mohammed Ibrahim brings us the situation report.
A visit to the university by NTA News indicates the usual administrative and academic activities that characterize the university at this time of the session going on, one of which is examination. There was presence of security personnel of the university on campus, as well as armed security operatives at entry points, conducting regular checks on vehicles and persons. NTA News crew came across the university management, led by the chairman and governing council of the institution, Lam Bukar Marguba, accompanied by the VC and other members, also on ground to assess the situation and assured of uninterrupted activities and focus on the task ahead.
The terror cannot succeed as far as the University of Maiduguri is concerned. We have decided to remain focused. We have decided to remain resolved. As an academic entity, we want to carry on with our activities. I want to assure parents that we will do everything possible to ensure that safety is maintained on campus.
Some students expressed satisfaction with the arrangement so far.
Everything is now calm. We can write our exams and the security are taking the situation at hand.
We just finish our exams, we are calm, and we can even go anywhere in the school.
Members of the governing board also visited the injured at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, who are responding to treatment, and condoled with the family of Professor Aliu Mani, who lost his life in the incident.
The University of Maiduguri community is undeterred by the suicide bomb attack, as seen with normal activities going on, and the university management say they are in control of the situation. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Ibrahim, NTA News.
The Defense Headquarters says no pipeline vandalism occurred in Niger Delta State as reported in some dailies. A statement by Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Rabi Abubakar, says the report is not just a ruse, but a complete imagination of its author, as the incident was a bush burning which was immediately put under control. This prompt action, the defense spokesman, however, stated prevented environmental catastrophe that might have occurred. He appealed to the media to always verify their facts, especially on defense and security issues, before going to the press. The Senate has passed its Joint Committee on Finance, Appropriations and National Planning Recommendations report on the 2017 to 2019 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper. National Assembly correspondent Waziri Zayano reports that part of the recommendations adopted at Wednesday's plenary include oil price benchmark.
Presenting the report on behalf of the Joint Committees, Senator John Owen Eno recommended that government should be prudent in the implementation of the MTEF for ultimate results.
Benchmark oil price of $42.50 per barrel, exchange rate of 305 to $1, GDP growth rate of 2.50%, inflation growth rate of 12.92%.
A cross-section of the senators commented on aspects of the MTEF.
Every year, reduce recurrent expenditure by 3% or 5% to a level of 50%, so 50% can be spent on capital projects. This is very, very important.
2.2 million barrels per day, in spite of some reservation by a few people, is acceptable.
Deputy Senate President Ike Ukuremadu, who presided, commended the joint committees for a job well done, after which each of the recommendations was adopted.
The committee recommends that the exchange rate of 305 naira to $1 for 2017 budget be approved, and Central Bank of Nigeria should initiate measures that will close the gap between the parallel market and official exchange rate. This is at page 15. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act to provide for a legal framework for the cassava inclusion policy of the federal government, sponsored by Senator Rose Oko, also went through second reading before being referred to the Agriculture and Rural Development Committee for further legislative action.
The proposed bill is ultimately aimed at promoting local content, improving the economy, and ensuring food security in the country.
Moving a motion on the state of humanitarian relief efforts in the Northeast, high level of funding so far. Senator Muhammad Ali Ndume observed that there have been over 73% increase in such donations, lamenting, however, that there is no synergy between participating agencies and local authorities.
My concern is not how the money comes or how much is in there, but let the money be used and let us visibly see it. Let my people have food. Let my people have shelter.
It's going to be difficult for us to go and investigate an NGO that is a private organization, but we can attempt to trace the whereabouts of the donations and what they were actually used for.
A 1-minute silence was observed in memory of lives accidentally lost at the IDP camp in Borno State. From the National Assembly, Wazir Zayan, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has also approved the 2017-2019 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper. The legislators approved an oil benchmark, like you heard in the earlier report, of $44.5 per barrel of crude oil for 2017 budget. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
Globally, the medium-term expenditure framework serves as the compass for annual budgets. Therefore, the success of Appropriation Act largely depends on the success of the MTEF. In preparation for the consideration of the 2017 budget, House members at Wednesday's plenary devoted their time in the consideration of the report of the House committees on finance, appropriation, and 2 other related committees on the 2017 and 2019 MTEF. Members retained the 2.2 million barrel per day of crude oil production and 305 naira to $1 exchange rate for the 2017 budget.
The committee was fully informed that the government is making a lot of measures, especially taking into consideration the challenges in the Niger Delta, which they are planning to overcome.
The House regrets the accidental airstrike of internally displaced persons camp in Kalabalge local government area of Borno State and resolves to send a 10-man committee to visit the scene of the incident, as well as commiserate with families of victims, the state and Nigerians in general. This is sequel to a motion of urgent public importance by the Chairman House Committee on Internally Displaced Persons and Refugees, Representative Sani Zoro from Jigawa State.
To ascertain the level of response of the emergency assistance needed by the surviving victims of the airstrike
cannot be anything but mistakes. Why I join others to say that the military should be more careful.
Well, we commend the efforts of the armed forces. It is true that they need to be cautious. They need to be cautious in doing their operation.
Unfortunately, you have collateral consequences of war. What we need to say is error. All we need to say is standing up for a minute. It's need for us to investigate this.
That even though they have made a very costly mistake on the battleground, that the Nigerian people still stand with them.
I want to, on behalf of Nigeria Air Force, apologize to Nigeria too. Thank you. God bless you.
Members condemned the twin bomb blast that killed 3 people at the University of Maiduguri on 16th of this month. They observed a minute silence in honor of those killed by the accidental airstrike, University of Maiduguri bomb blast, a Bonyan Cross River State boundary clash, and all victims of communal clashes in Nigeria. The House also considered and approved the report of its Committee on Labor, Employment and Productivity, which resolves that henceforth any financial exploitation of job seekers by employers of labor will be regarded as financial crime and advance fee fraud. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
In more on security, the Nigerian military in 2016 achieved major feats in its sustained fight against criminal activities. In this report, defense correspondent Ismail Musa highlights these and projections for 2017. And the audio seems to have disappeared in that report. We hope to bring it to you later in the course of the bulletin. Moving on now, the Nigerian Bar Association has called on all parties in the southern Kaduna conflicts to shift from their extreme positions if lasting solution is to be found to the crisis. President of the association, Abubakar Balarabe Mahmoud, made the call at the end of the fact-finding tour of parts of the conflict zones. Femi Okeowo reports.
The Nigerian Bar Association prides itself as the foremost professional and civil society organization in Nigeria. It therefore takes it as its responsibility to speak out on issues bordering on the people's welfare. But if its voice is to command the respect of both the people and government, such comments must be based on the facts on the ground. This is why the NBA president led a 30-member delegation to see firsthand happenings surrounding the killings by alleged herdsmen in some local governments of southern part of Kaduna State. The AB Mahmoud fact-finding tour, which also had the Commissioner of Police in charge of Mobile Force Headquarters, Bello Ahmed, took the team to Jama local government area, where they visited 3 affected communities, Goska, Dangoma, and Bakinkogi. The general picture that this conflict presents from the outside is that there are some faceless people attacking indigenous communities. While the team may have seen evidence to buttress this, one other fact, however, is that in this conflict, every party sees itself as a victim. That is why NBA President told Governor Ahmed El-Rufai in a courtesy call before the visit that a compromise by all the parties is the best way to reach a lasting solution to the conflict.
We also have to caution, much as we're lawyers, the briefings and the engagements we've had seem to suggest that we cannot approach this solely as a law and order matter, that there needs to be a broad strategy of engaging with all the communities.
What we are dealing with is 35 years of impunity. Everyone in Kaduna State has come to believe that I can kill without consequence, so long as I hide behind religion or ethnicity. We have to draw a line on the sand and send a very clear message that this is unacceptable, and we intend to do so.
As an immediate solution for now, efforts are now being made to secure the farmlands for the farming communities to return.
Enough efforts will be made to resolve these issues so as to allow the villagers to have access to their farmlands.
The issues raised during this meeting, we shall readjust and re-strategize our posting so that we clear and mop up the entire area.
A report is expected to be submitted to the Kaduna State government in due course, the content of which we cannot, for now, readily tell you. But one thing we can immediately say about that report is what everyone has recognized, that all parties will end up being losers if these senseless killings continue. Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
The need for mutual understanding and synergy between leaders of the 2 major religions in Nigeria to end insurgency and other security challenges has been emphasized. Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar III, stated this at an international conference on security and peaceful coexistence in Nigeria, which was held in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. Abdulafiz Alaya reports.
According to him, the multi-religious composition of the country was not a mistake, and rather than trading blames or making inciting comments, religious leaders should be united in finding a common solution to the prevailing security challenges in the country. The monarch, however, called on adherents of the 2 major religions to tolerate and respect one another for peace to reign.
But majority of Nigerians are either Christians or Muslims, so that makes it easy for us to relate with one another because we have a guide, our holy books. We cannot just let things just go anyhow without pulling the reins back of those fomenting troubles, wanting to cause disharmony between Christians and Muslims, who we all know are brothers and sisters of one another.
While declaring the workshop open, Governor Abdul Fattah Ahmed explained that the conference was to complement federal government efforts on security and to sustain peaceful coexistence in the states.
I'm confident that the outcome of this international conference will go a long way in assisting Nigeria as a country to develop policies, programs, and practices that can enhance safety and harmonious coexistence among the divergent religious and multi-ethnic groups in our society.
There were goodwill messages from representatives of King Salman of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Christian Association of Nigeria. In Ilorin, Abdelafiz Alaya, NTA News.
In the last decade and a half, Plateau State had been associated with one form of crisis or the other, be it religious, communal, or inter-ethnic. This no doubt affected the socio-economic life of the people, with reduced investment caused by security challenges. But the year 2016 witnessed unprecedented peace and harmony, resulting from the various peace-building mechanism of the state government. Yusuf Umar takes it from here.
The recent hosting of various national events on the plateau, like the Civil Service Games, the Governor's Golf Cup, the Jos International Trade Fair, and series of national seminars and workshops organized by different organizations, which was not possible years back due to security challenges, is a clear manifestation that the lost glory of Plateau State is gradually returning to its home of peace and tourism. Using centralized approach in ending the security situation that led to loss of lives and property on the plateau was somehow difficult for security agencies, as the security challenges has linked with culture, religion, ethnicity, and politics. The over 15 years predicament saw various communities across the state in series of conflicts, but the most prominent that lingered in the state is that of Fulanis and Biroms, a situation the Special Task Force, saddled with the responsibility of maintaining peace on the plateau, says is now a thing of the past.
As I speak today, you can see that the Birom go to Fulani market. Fulanis go to Birom market. The Birom do Achaba in Fulani community. Fulanis do Achaba in Birom community. That's exactly how we should be living.
We work together as a team. No security agency can do it by herself or itself. We have to come together to form a team, and that's what we've been doing.
The peaceful and harmonious coexistence of people in the state did not come on a platter of gold, but with a series of dialogue from various stakeholders, including national and international organizations.
It is more difficult to sustain the kind of peace we are having on the plateau today than achieving it. What I mean is, if we don't commit ourselves to further strengthening this peace, to further institutionalize it, to deliberately continue to service the process, then there is possibility that one day something will happen and can take us back.
Yes, peace has returned to Plateau State, but no one would continue or must continue to live under the illusion that the peace is permanent. A lot of work needs to be done. And why it is so? Because we are yet to engage or yet to resolve some of these issues of conflict.
Recently, in an interview with Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong, expressed appreciation that Plateau people have embraced peace and mutual tolerance through a series of peace-building efforts.
Our gratitude to the armed forces for protecting us and for ensuring we have peace, and particularly in Plateau State, for 2 years of peaceful coexistence.
Experts are of the view that similar techniques used in curtailing devices on the plateau can be used in addressing other security challenges affecting neighboring states and other parts of the country. It is hoped that Plateau people will leverage on the peace-building effort of government to sustain peace and harmonious coexistence necessary for meaningful development. In Jos, Yusuf Umar, NTA News.
You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Still ahead, Minister of State Aviation meets quarrel over Abuja Airport rehabilitation. Stay with us.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limitless, and we are very, very aware of this, and we are prepared to exploit it to the fullest.
When you look at the world today, what do you see? The obvious, or much more? Do you hear a call tune, or the talents of thousands paying off? Do you see an instant message, or millions of strengthened relationships? Do you see an app, or creative entrepreneurs? An email, or multiples of successful business transactions? Do you see charity, or renewed faith in our shared humanity? Do you hear the laughter of millions of people in Africa's largest family? It's never enough to see only what's before us. That's why MTN is empowering a tomorrow that's driven by digital technology and made for Africa by Africans.
The Tony Elumelu Foundation's $100 million entrepreneurship program is empowering Africa's next business leaders. 54 countries, 10,000 entrepreneurs. Become a Tony Elumelu entrepreneur. Apply now.
Abroad we come, oh, abroad we come. Abroad we come, oh, abroad we come. Funded by a fan, Babalola, a believer. Industry and determination, a unique environment with aesthetic structures, a beckoning university, delivery unequal.
If there's any university that can be called federal, ours is the Federal University.
Afe Babalola University, the fastest growing educational institution in Africa.
Many more winners are celebrating this week in the Airtel Red Heart promo. Keep recharging your Airtel line daily and you could win 10 million naira and other fantastic prizes. Take the deal of the day to increase your chances of joining the league of Airtelionaires. The more you recharge, the higher your chances of winning.
My name don't change to Airtelionaire because like all those people that announce say they win now, me say I be winner. So if you want make your name change to Airtelionaire like me, make you quickly go there recharge. Red Hot promo, 10 million naira.
Promo runs till 3rd of February 2017.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hello?
Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Congratulations, you have passed the test.
Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge.
Gioni M6, always in power.
For an easy way to check your bank account and make payments wherever you are in the world, use EcoBank Internet Banking or sign up online today at ecobank.com. Move on up with EcoBank, the Pan-African bank.
The Future Assured project and its components Get Involved, initiated by the wife of the President, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammadu Buhari, is not relenting in championing the cause of Nigerian women and children. Its provision of free medical screening, educational support, and the fight against malnutrition, especially in the Northeast, has indeed informed international recognition, partnerships, and awards.
We are very grateful and appreciative for your wonderful gesture you have accorded to us.
With Future Assured,
Nigerian women and children are assured of a bright future.
Future is assured when we join hands to promote the health of our women and children. Get involved.
Get involved and support the Future Assured initiative. Future Assured, promoting and protecting the lives of Nigerian women and children.
Many thanks for being there, and we begin this session with aviation news. Minister of State Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has reassured Nigerians of government's resolve to ensure that the rehabilitation of the Abuja airport runway is completed within the stipulated 6 weeks. The minister, who said this at a meeting with the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, maintained that the project is being undertaken to enhance safety of the airport. Joseph Orok reports.
The proposed closure for rehabilitation of the runway of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport has been raising concern to most Nigerians. For Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, the project should include a second runway, as the airports at the services of qualified consultants of Nigerian background should be employed.
So for this one, we want active involvement of Nigerian engineers. That is number one. Number two, the runway that is there now, what we are doing now is palliative. There's a need to build a second one so that our nation will not be embarrassed. Because what is happening now is not good for a nation with the kind of history of human resources that we have.
Pleased with the visits, the Minister of State Aviation expressed government's commitment to total rehabilitation of the runway for the safety of airline operators and airport users.
So with this, National Assembly, COREN, and the ministry agreeing as is the best option, we are proceeding. So I can emphatically tell you that this procurement is proceeding. We would, on the due date, on the March of 8, close this runway in the interest of safety for six weeks, and we appeal to our teaming passengers and Nigerians to bear with us. This is for the betterment of our country.
The minister explained that the choice of Kaduna Airport as an alternative is because of the easy accessibility and proximity to Abuja, noting that necessary security beef up has been put in place along the Kaduna-Abuja road to douse the fears of the public. Joseph Orok, NTA News.
And the National Assembly is mapping out strategies for restructuring the Nigeria Postal Service, NIPOST, in order for it to cope with the challenges and demands of the present times and to enhance its services for increased patronage locally and internationally. This came to the fore when the Senate Committee on Communications visited NIPOST head office in oversight function. National Assembly correspondent Kenneth Nanim reports.
The Nigerian Postal Service, NIPOST, had been effective in rendering postal and courier services in post telecommunication. Today, the advancement of information communication technology has rather rendered NIPOST services unpopular because of fast track of the ICT world. The oversight visit by the Senate Committee on Communication is to find ways of making postal service go with the tides of the time, become more efficient and better revenue generating outfit, especially now with the economic diversification drive of government.
There is no doubt that the postal sector can still survive and compete well in the ever-evolving knowledge-based society. But this can only be guaranteed through the formulation of proactive policies and rapid.
The management of NIPOST enumerated inadequate funding, obsolete laws, low patronage from government, ministries, departments and agencies, poor infrastructure, the non-ICT compliance of the agency in tracking and chasing of mails, parcels and packages as major challenges. However, the agency believes that the amendment of its Establishment Acts and the public-private partnership approach being adopted will bring NIPOST out of the woods to reflect current-day realities in postal services in line with global best practice.
Innovation, diversification, there are areas that we can think strategically.
NIPOST before now has been the major carrier of postal and courier services in Nigeria, in spite of the challenges posed by the ICT world of today. However, the agency is striving very hard to cope and excel in its service to the public. The Senate Committee on Communications visit to NIPOST coincides today that NIPOST is joining other African countries to celebrate Pan-African Post Day. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And turning to education now, governing councils of Nigerian universities need bold, innovative, responsive and committed members who define the direction and support of the management to build institutions that match best practices. As governing councils of University of Port Harcourt and Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, were inaugurated by the Education Minister, Malam Adamu, government searchlight is on these universities to see how members will bring their knowledge and experience to bear in repositioning them. Abdullahi Musa Suleja has details.
Whenever appointments are made, what really comes to mind to many is how those positions can turn around things. As centers that impact knowledge, moral values and academic excellence, universities are in serious business, and so their policy makers and management must also be serious-minded. Ensuring that universities management follow extant provision in all staff matters, accountability, transparency, discipline and reward for hard work are therefore qualities further expected by the governing councils to uplift the universities.
We will work very hard to build universities that will pride themselves with scholars and students that are driven by the thirst to create, innovate, recreate, disseminate, and assimilate knowledge.
Malam Adamu said, a situation where vice-chancellors and pro-chancellors will become regular visitors to EFCC and ICPC due to allegations of mismanagement is unhealthy for the system.
When leadership is accountable, prudent and transparent, guided by the rule of law and due process, and when leaders at all times put public interest first and above personal interest, there wouldn't have been any of these crises of governance in our institutions.
While Dr. Yemi Ogumbui was inaugurated chairman of the governing council of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Professor Njenega Jibo is to head that of University of Port Harcourt. In Abuja, Abdullahi Musa Suleja, NTA News.
And the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos will on the 8th of February hear an application challenging its jurisdiction in the ongoing trial of former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode and 3 others facing charges of money laundering. This was the ruling of Justice Muslim Hassan on the pending preliminary applications before him. Vera Chimuba was at the Federal High Court and now reports.
Last adjourned date, defense counsels Norris and Quakers Abiodun Uwenikoko and Ameng declined to cross-examine the first prosecution witness, Idowu Olusegun, a media consultant. They had urged the court to adjourn the suit to a date when all pending applications on jurisdiction must have been heard and determined by the court so as to serve the interests of justice. Delivering his ruling on whether or not to hear the pending applications of defense counsels, Justice Muslim Hassan recalled all arguments earlier canvassed by the counsels of the accused. He noted all relevant authorities and statutory provisions cited by defense and prosecution counsels in the arguments for and against preliminary hearing of pending applications before the continuation of trial. Justice Hassan said in view of the provisions and on the basis of fair hearing and interest of justice, all the 3 applications will be taken. The former Aviation Minister Femi Fani-Kayode, former Minister of State Finance Nenadi Usman, Danjuma Yusuf and a company, Joint Trust Dimensions Limited, are facing a 17-count charge of laundering 4.6 billion naira. The court also fixed the 20th of March for trial in a suit filed by the federal government against Shell Western Supply and Trading Limited over alleged crude oil theft. The plaintiff federal government is claiming the sum of $406.7 million from the defendants, representing the shortfall of money that should have been paid into the federal government account with the CBN. In Lagos, Viera Chumba, NTA News.
And to address this recent spate of jailbreaks across the country, the Nigerian Prison Service is building the capacity of its command officers to enhance security. Salihu Abdullahi has that report.
This is the man at the helm of affairs at the country's prison service, an institution that has in recent times suffered several jailbreaks, attacks from suspected insurgents, and outcry from the public on congestions, deplorable condition of prisons, and many more. While this may not be entirely the fault of the prison service, the authority says it is determined to play its part in addressing its shortcomings. That explains this workshop to review operations and chart a new course.
While we will ensure that the staff welfare is given also attention, we will also not tolerate indolence. And that has been what gingered most of my officers to reposition themselves to work for better and ensure that the prisons are well secured.
Events such as this clearly demonstrate that the Nigerian Prison Services is walking the talk in line with the present administration's resolve to strengthen institutions such as theirs. They are doing this by empowering command officers from across the country with necessary information required in carrying out their strategic responsibility as command officers.
And the Nigerian Prison Service is one of the main structures of the architecture of security in the country.
With the theme, role of the media in enhancing prison management, the workshop is expected to serve as turning point in building a mutual relationship between the prison service and the media in effective reforms that will better service delivery. From the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps Academy in Sauka, Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
The Voice project has been launched in Nigeria with a renewed determination to take more practical steps to end marginalization and discrimination against persons with disability to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals for the benefit of all. Ronke Kolawole reports that the Voice project, which is part of the Dialogue and Decent Policy framework of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, was launched by the Dutch ambassador to Nigeria.
Implemented in 2 continents and 10 countries, including Mali, Niger, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Cambodia, and Indonesia. Voice is aimed at amplifying the voices of the most marginalized and discriminated against groups to get the attention of policymakers to their plights. Although the Global Voice targets 5 vulnerable groups, people living with disabilities and women are the focus in Nigeria. Now that the Voice is officially launched in the country, the Dutch ambassador to Nigeria called for proper alignment of programs, good communication and cooperation from developing partners and government to achieve desirable results.
And this support should enable civil society organizations to mobilize and strengthen the voice of citizens to defend their own interests.
We need to improve levels of inclusion and the most disadvantaged in public and social services.
The theme of the project is heartwarming as it will advance the cause of the greatest majority who are at the bottom rung of the economic social ladder of the country.
Senior Special Assistant to the President on Disability Matters commended President Buhari for giving a chance to the target groups in governance.
You can't plan effectively without data. So my office is charged with the fact that we need to get, at least like my sister just said, the baseline data that will help the government to plan for people with disabilities in this country.
Now that this project is coming on, it will be an addition for the rural woman to benefit something in this country and the world at large.
When people are empowered to fight for their rights, their voice becomes stronger. This is exactly what the Voice project in Nigeria is advocating, the need for all to add a voice to the voiceless, to assist them to contribute their quota to national development. Now that the project has been launched in Nigeria, where do we go from here?
The next thing is the call for proposal is open. We are launching 2 grants now into influence legislation and practice.
Panel discussion re-echoes that no one should be left behind in the collective journey to end poverty. Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
Back to our earlier report in which we highlighted the major fates of the military and in its fight against criminal activities. Our correspondent Ismail Musa is now ready with the highlights and projections for 2017.
On the 22nd of December 2016, the Nigerian military, after sustained commitment, captured Camp Zero, the headquarters of Boko Haram in northeast Nigeria. It was an accomplishment that gained local and international recognitions.
The performance of Nigerian armed forces in progressing the operation in the northeast of Borno has been first class, and I think it's demonstrated a a real regional leadership in that area. It's achieved effects on the ground.
In addition to complete liberation of 14 local government areas, formerly under the control of the terrorists, roads and routes have been reopened as millions displaced have either returned or are returning to their homes. Massive reconstruction of destroyed infrastructures by the federal and states affected is ongoing.
We want the people to participate. We encourage them to participate in this process of rebuilding our states. Government alone cannot do it.
To the people of Borno, 2016 is a year of fulfillment with hopes rekindled and socio-economic activities.
If you not support the security, they cannot do it alone. And my brothers, I'm advising them that people working with Boko Haram is no more again. If you're working with Boko Haram, that means you too, you are Boko Haram. And then if you not support Boko Haram cannot get power again.
In the south and southeast, the nation's rich oil regions, the army, through coordinated operations, have reduced militancy, kidnapping and armed robbery. The Chief of Army Staff stressed the need for individuals and private organizations to assist the government in the provision of logistics and improved welfare to troops.
We have looked at the welfare of the armed forces in terms of accommodation, in terms of training, in terms of other facilities that they needed to enhance their efficiency and the capacity.
There is also the need to look inward to enhance local production of some of these requirements to reduce capital flight and generate employment.
When you are supporting local production, that you are supporting yourself, you are supporting your country, you are supporting your people.
To consolidate on these achievements, Nigerians should at all times appreciate security as a collective responsibility by providing timely and reliable information to security agencies. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force has described as tragic and regrettable the accidental airstrike by one of its fighter jets on Ran village in Kala-Balge area of Borno State on Tuesday. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, assured that investigations are on to unravel the cause of such unwarranted collateral damage. Defense correspondent Isaac Nkoma reports that this was at an interview after a briefing with the Air Force contingent deployed to the Gambia.
The news filtered in and made headlines on most of the dailies, just as it trended on social media platforms. The Nigerian Air Force is saddened by the incident in which some innocent lives were lost. The loss occasioned by the unfortunate airstrike, the Chief of Air Staff says, is deeply regretted.
We have been operating in the Northeast for about 8 years now. We have flown close to 6,000 hours. This is the first time we are having this tragedy. Sometimes it does happen in war. I want to say that we share in the pains and sorrows of the families that have lost loved ones. We want to also sympathize with those that are wounded. We have directed the Chief of Medical Services to provide our medical facility in Maiduguri to the wounded so that they can also be treated. We have also, about this time, we are putting up a high-powered committee at the Air Force level. I know the theater commander is also working hard to find out what really happened. I want to assure you that as a professional service, we'll continue to evaluate our processes and procedures so that we can be effective in dealing with those that are out to kill human beings.
Meanwhile, about 200 officers and men, including 22-member combat support crew of the Nigerian Air Force, has been deployed to the Gambia via Senegal as a standby force in the event of President Yahya Jammeh's refusal to hand over power on Thursday. The troops' deployment at the 117 Air Combat Training Group, Kainji, Niger State, comes with the deployment of air assets, including fighter jets, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance, as well as heavy lift transport aircrafts and light utility helicopters.
What we have here are men that are highly trained, highly skilled, and they know their job, they know the task, they have a commander who will guide them. We don't want to start speculating on what has been deployed or what has not been deployed. But as a professional service, I believe that the commander of the air assets will work together with other commanders and they will come up with what is required in terms of plans to be able to execute their task and come back home.
In the turn of events, their mission is to enforce the December 1 election result in the Gambia, as well as ensure law and order in that country.
As the takeoff, touchdown will be in Dakar, Senegal, where they will join other troops who will be partaking in the mission. Nigeria, Ghana, and Senegal are the contributing countries to this mission. From Kainji, Isaac Nkuma, NTA News.
Up ahead, local rice millers call on the federal government to stop the importation of rice now. Details shortly.
Many reasons we buy what we buy. Some are necessary, some probably not. For special occasions. For friends. For style. Or true love. For heartfelt thank yous. And for everything else in between. Whatever your reason, you can rely on Verve for all your purchase needs. Verve, the convenient and rewarding way to pay in Africa.
Can your milk do this? Can your milk do this? Can your milk do this?
Can your milk do this? Mine can.
With Hollandia evaporated milk, your cereals, oats, smoothies, custards, ice cream, and variation of beverages taste pleasantly different. Hollandia evaporated milk. Life tastes different.
From the House of Chi.
Hello? Welcome to the M6 Challenge. Using your new Gioni M6, carry out everything on that list. Starting now. Get to the door. Congratulations, you have passed the test.
Gioni M6 with a 5,000 milliampere battery that lets you go on for 2 days on a single charge.
Gioni M6, always in power.
Feel the tasty, refreshing goodness of Chi Iced Tea. Chi Iced Tea, made from premium natural tea leaves. With delicious fruity flavors. Chi Iced Tea. Drink positive. Come over to the tea side of life.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
You're watching NTA News Extra, and next is our business news segment. Stop the importation of rice now and support local production, rice millers, importers and distributors of Nigeria tell federal government. Let's join Ameche Pius on our business news segment for details.
Time to talk business, and nice to have you join us on this segment of the news. Nigeria's drive to attain self-sufficiency in rice production by the year 2018 received a boost last year as more people are investing in rice production in the country. The National Secretary of the Rice Millers, Importers and Distributors of Nigeria, Muhammad Shuaib, told NTA Business News that the success story recorded between Lagos and Kebbi states in rice production last year saved the nation a lot of foreign exchange. He said the demand for local rice increased significantly following widespread condemnation of foreign rice over what many suspected to be plastic rice. Local production, which stood at about 2.1 million tons per annum, rose to about 4 million tons, following the influx of more investors in the entire value chain of rice production.
I've gone around, I've seen the farms, I've seen the new things that people are doing, I've seen the zeal is there. Every civil servant is thinking of farming right now as we speak. Everybody wants, in their vacation, their leave, they want to go to their village and see what they can do with farm. And I see that by 2018, we'll be sufficient in rice.
Muhammad Shuaib clearly pointed out that if the investment trend continues, Nigeria will not only meet but surpass local consumption of about 7 million tons per annum and also have more than enough for exports in the nearest future.
Government should be firm. They should be firm that no matter what, no foreign rice is imported into the country, either through land borders or through sea. And then we produce our own rice 100%.
And that's business news. Thanks for watching. The rest of the news continues shortly.
And the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has enjoined motorists in Abuja and environs, and indeed the Federation, not to engage in panic buying of petroleum products. NNPC assures motorists that the corporation has 1.3 billion litres stock of petrol, which is sufficient to serve the nation for more than 38 days. A statement from the Office of the Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs, Undo Ugamadu, the corporation says there is no iota of truth in the rumor that government is scheduled to adjust pump price of petrol. Meanwhile, with the resumption of the corporation's 3 refineries in Kaduna, Port Harcourt and Warri, there is enough stock of petrol, automotive gas oil, diesel and kerosene. The 3 refineries produced additional volumes of 4.6 million litres of kerosene and 7.7 million litres of diesel, in addition to millions of litres of petrol being refined daily at the nation's refineries. Last week, we brought you the first part of our special on the search for oil in Niger State. In the second and concluding part of the report, Sheun Ogunloye brings us the perspective of a renowned geophysicist as well as the reactions of the NNPC and communities in Niger State, which is described as geological bright spots.
News about oil findings is always exciting, and so you can understand the elation of the village head of Kudu, one of the communities described as a geological bright spot.
I was just on my palace here, a group of people came from government house. And maybe at the same time, I think deputy governor himself with some foreign Chinese, they came, which was verified, and I called on community that this is what was observed in Kudu town, under Mokwa local government. And all of them were impressed, were happy.
One person who is, however, not excited by the pronouncements of Professor Nuhu Obaje about geological bright spots in the Bida Basin is Professor Deborah Ajakaye, an 80-year-old geologist who is an acknowledged authority in this field. Her view is also anchored on some geological studies led by her.
I cannot say there is oil here until we've done the work. And I will call say the arbitrator is drilling that well. Because you will come with your method and say, I did gravity and I think it is that. That's when we say, I have seismic, I have even, seismic is the most powerful. Yeah? But you someone say, I have seismic data to support it, fine. But let's drill and...
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, however, has only one position. It is interested.
Whether hydrocarbon exists, yes.
hydrocarbon signature has been identified in the Bida area. And therefore, further studies will confirm whether it is commercial quantity or it is not.
The IBB University team reportedly produced the first complete geological map on the Bida Basin. Along with aeromagnetic map, prospectors may have more material for a detailed investigation. Professor Obaje and his team at the IBB University in the interim still continue to work at proving all skeptics wrong as to what the Bida Basin really holds.
This is about the oil where we expect to find the commercial oil in commercial quantity. This is Patisha Bakulu, and here is a very big accumulation of sediments, and the highest prospect is here.
For the agrarian people of Patisha Bakulu and Kudu in Niger State, their days in the sidelines of society may soon be over with prospective socio-economic implications. However, these are still early days in the long and often frustrating search for hydrocarbons.
And on to pension matters now. A panel of discussants on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live, have stressed the need to address the ambiguity in the contributory pension scheme for enhanced payment of monthly allowances to retirees. Joseph Johnson reports that the guests were deliberating on the topic, pension administration and the plight of pensioners, and they expressed displeasure at the frustration associated with the scheme.
The panelists say looking at pensioners collapsing on queues for their meager pensions during verification exercises is quite disturbing, coupled with the unending nightmare of fraud perpetrated on pension accounts, which have continued to inflict untold hardship and pains to retirees, is a situation they described as desperate.
Most of the states in this country have liability of gratuity running into billions of naira. There is a particular state that have 46 billion, ranging from 10 years. The list is 3 years.
You look at all these imbalances, and the whole thing look messy. At the end of the day, even as a director, your monthly pension is not more than 1/4 of what you are collecting before. So it means the template they are using is structurally defective.
While some called for a review of the entire scheme, others made clarifications, particularly in areas of delay and non-payment of entitlements.
This Pension Act, this Section 4 is a trap, fatal trap for civil servants. You think when you are leaving the service, you get money because you have 20 million in your account. But by the time you get there, you say go to 3-4 million. So a lot of problem with that.
The issues we are discussing now and where most of the problems are coming from is under that contributory pension scheme, not the defined benefit scheme.
The challenge is maybe some of the pension fund administrators and maybe the officers on the desk do not have the time or the expertise to take the retirees through the template to explain to them.
The issue of payment of monthly pension as and when due is a major challenge.
Okay.
Because once you don't do that, then you are saying also that these pensioners should go to grave early.
Pretty scary picture there for potential retirees, isn't it? Now, for pension reform to yield meaningful results, they said corruption, which is likened to the elephant in the room, must be brought under control, given incidences of pension fund embezzlement in the country. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Up ahead, the Gambia in focus as the United States prepares to inaugurate a new president. Correspondent looks at Africa and the Obama years.
Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
To the outer framers, the hat tippers, the turtleneckers, the fringe goers, you don't need to hide anymore. Try Dettol Even Tone. It cleans and helps to reduce the appearance of blemishes caused by oil, dirt and germs, giving your skin a healthy feel for an even better you. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Do you crave class? Do you have taste? And do you care about comfort? If you do, then for your next event, a stay away from home, a business trip, or a holiday, visit Jade's Hotel at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. Check out our world-class services, exquisite suites, restaurant and bar, gymnasium, spa and grills, and our outdoor catering services and cuisines. At Jade's, it can only be better. For bookings and reservations, visit us today at 24 Undola Crescent, Wuse Zone 5, Abuja, or visit www.jadeshotels.com. Our email address is info@jadeshotels.com. You can also call us on 09291-9321 or 0810-909-7956. Jade's Hotels. Welcome to life.
Hello, dear. You've got the first signs of a sore throat.
Yes, and I'm afraid it could be signs of a sore throat.
Don't you worry. Just act immediately, but not with non-medicated throat sweets. Take an expert product. Take Strepsils. Look at what it does to sore throat germs compared to a throat sweet. Strepsils not only stops the germs from multiplying, it even kills them.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, sore throat. Stop a sore throat early. Take Strepsils.
The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Okay, sir. You may now go in for your interview.
Thank you. Ah, my shoe. And to think I just bought this very expensive foreign shoe 2 months ago.
So sorry about your shoes. This is why I advise my friends to always patronize made in Nigeria products. See this shoe. It's made in Nigeria. And I've had it for 2 years. And it's still as good as the day I bought it.
Made in Nigeria products are good quality, and stringent government regulations and certification now mean the goods made in Nigeria meet international standards. Make the patriotic choice today. Buy right. Buy Made in Nigeria.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Thanks for being there, and we begin this segment on the foreign scene. The West African Civil Society Forum has lent its voice in calling on the international community, the regional bloc, and the private sector to take effective and necessary measures in ensuring that President Yahya Jammeh smoothly hands over power to President-elect Adama Barrow on Thursday, 19th January 2017. The group held a press briefing in Abuja to convey this message. Chidunma Ndubusi reports.
African umbrella body of civil society organizations, which has been in the forefront of promoting tenure limit to ensure peaceful, democratic and participatory election, has strongly condemned the political development in the Gambia, where President Yahya Jammeh, instead of complying with the regional bloc's mandate for him to peacefully hand over power on Thursday, declared a 90-day state of emergency, with the parliament adopting the declaration. The group is urging all governments to join in condemning the act.
We are also strongly, calling for
serious diplomatic sanction. If all the organizations did not recognize this regime, we believe that he would be forced to, relinquish power. And Nigeria should not, under any circumstance, allow its judges to go to preside over these, kangaroo courts.
It's a very good development for other West African countries. This time, all the state parties in ECOWAS to partake in this fight against sit-tight presidency.
The Economic Community of West African States has expressed its readiness to use force in removing President Jammeh, but the organization is asking that the Gambian citizens be protected in the process. Already, thousands are fleeing into neighboring countries while tourists are being evacuated.
The West African Civil Society Forum also wants the Gambian citizens to start a peaceful civil disobedience. This, it believes, will send a message to President Jammeh that their decision at the polls on December 1st, 2016 still stands. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Barack Obama, the first African-American president of the United States of America, ends its second and final tenure in less than 48 hours. What has this presidency been for Americans and particularly the African continent? Our correspondent Patricia Esemi Luba gives us an insight.
I, Barack Hussein Obama.
The emotional part that you have your kind in the highest office in the world is something that rubs off.
Obama, however, continued the funding of HIV/AIDS programs in Africa, increasing the number of people receiving treatment from 1.7 million to 6.7 million, according to figures released by the White House.
In concrete terms, electoral advantages that we got from the support, from the aids that came in for elections, support for elections were very, very tangent.
He also showed leadership during the Ebola crisis, deploying a 3,000-strong military contingent to build emergency hospitals in Liberia, probably to change the derogatory narrative in some quarters that Africa is the dark continent. President Barack Obama announced the Power Africa initiative in South Africa during his three-country visit to the continent in 2013. According to the White House, it was to enable most of sub-Saharan Africa's population have access to electricity.
Obama came and did the Power Africa, in which what they wanted to do was help African states acquire that capacity to light up Africa. In other words, to enable us have constant supply of electricity.
While Barack Obama's Africa record may not be inspiring to many Africans, and having failed to have Democrat Hillary Clinton elected to succeed him to preserve his legacy, he would always be remembered as one of the very few American presidents to have had a scandal-free tenure. He would likely be remembered as an American president who was very efficient and
Look like you're up to something.
I have a secret.
Okay.
I'll be going to Europe next week.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like you have your visa, your passport, your plane ticket?
No, not that way. Some men are helping us. We pay them, they take us through the desert, and then we cross the sea into Europe.
The desert, the sea. Isn't that the route where many have died?
Yes, it is indeed a very dangerous journey. In 2016 alone, 4,900 people died while crossing the Mediterranean Sea to enter Europe. Many were Nigerians. For the very few who survived the journey, they are forced into prostitution or other crimes just to survive. Eventually, they will be arrested and deported to Nigeria. Don't be a victim. Don't go this way.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. But it's also let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Thanks for being there, and we'll begin this segment with sports stories. Football